Sam Carter was a man of few words and even fewer companions. Living alone on a desolate moon colony wasn't exactly what he'd dreamed of as a kid, but it was the life he'd settled into after the war. The days were quiet, spent salvaging debris from asteroid fields, maintaining oxygen generators, and fixing whatever the colony's aging systems decided to break that week. The routine was predictable until his scanner picked up a faint distress signal. At first, he thought it was a glitch. False alarms weren't uncommon this far out. But something about the signal's erratic pulse drew him in. He couldn't explain it, but he felt compelled to investigate. Navigating through jagged asteroid debris, Sam found the source of the signal, a small, mangled ship that had clearly seen better days. Its hull was scorched, riddled with plasma burns. Inside, he spotted an escape pod lodged between twisted metal beams. The pod's faint glow indicated some kind of power source still running. Curiosity got the better of him as he pried the pod open, his hands trembling slightly. What he found inside shocked him. A small alien girl, no older than 5 or 6 by human standards. Her skin shimmered faintly, marked with intricate, glowing patterns that pulsed softly, as if responding to his presence. Her large, luminous eyes looked up at him, filled with equal parts fear and desperation. Sam's first instinct was to call for help. But help wasn't something that came easily out here. The girl was shivering, her fragile form wrapped in what looked like remnants of a tattered ceremonial robe. She made no sound, but her tiny fingers gripped the edge of the pod tightly, refusing to let go. "Easy," Sam said, his voice softer than he expected. "I'm not gonna hurt you." Slowly, she released her grip, allowing him to lift her out of the pod. She weighed almost nothing, and her body radiated a warmth that was oddly soothing. He noticed a small device strapped to her wrist, covered in alien symbols he couldn't read. The pod itself was equally perplexing. Its sleek design and advanced tech were far beyond anything Sam had ever seen. He brought her back to his workshop, unsure of what to do next. She sat silently on an old crate, her wide eyes scanning the room with cautious curiosity. Sam rummaged through his supplies, eventually offering her a protein bar and a thermal blanket. She hesitated but eventually took the food, nibbling at it cautiously. As the hours passed, Sam couldn't shake the feeling that she was far more than she seemed. The glowing patterns on her skin flickered occasionally, almost like they were trying to communicate. He tried speaking to her, but she didn't respond, at least not with words. Instead, she mimicked his gestures, her intelligence shining through in the smallest of actions. When night fell, Sam watched her sleep, curled up in the corner of his workshop. He had no idea who she was or where she'd come from, but one thing was clear: she wasn't just a lost child. She was something extraordinary, and she needed him. Sam's life took a sharp turn the day the patrol ship arrived. He had barely finished his morning repairs when the warning signal blared across his workstation. A heavily armored vessel had entered the sector, and its sensors were scanning every inch of the moon's surface. Sam's heart sank as the realization hit him. They were looking for Kyra. He moved quickly, securing the underground bunkers that had once served as emergency storage for colony supplies. Kyra, unaware of the incoming threat, continued her daily tasks with the same quiet focus she had adopted since arriving. Sam's hands trembled as he gathered her belongings, preparing for the worst. He tried to remain calm, but the fear gnawed at him. The patrol wasn't here for salvage rights or routine checks. They were hunting something or someone. He didn't need to wait for them to land to know what they wanted. Sam had no doubt they were searching for Kyra. The glowing patterns on her skin, her strange abilities, the holographic emblem, everything pointed to one truth. She wasn't just any child. She was an heir to a throne. And that made her a target. With each passing minute, the patrol ship drew closer. Sam knew that if they found Kyra, they would take her, and he'd never see her again. He had no idea who these people were or what they wanted, but he wasn't willing to find out the hard way. The commander of the patrol, a tall, imposing figure named Varek, arrived at the colony's landing site. He was flanked by a small team of soldiers, their armor gleaming under the harsh lights of the moon. Sam could feel the tension in the air. It was only a matter of time before they came knocking. Kyra sensed something was wrong. She stopped what she was doing, her eyes scanning the horizon in confusion. Sam rushed over, placing a hand on her shoulder to calm her. Her markings flickered nervously, a faint hum emanating from her as if the thread in the air was tangible to her too. "They're here," Sam muttered, pulling her into the hidden bunker. "Stay quiet. I'll handle this." But Kyra wasn't one to hide in fear. Her instincts seemed to awaken. As Sam locked the door behind them, she reached out, her fingers brushing the walls of the bunker. Sam watched, stunned, as the metal shifted slightly under her touch. It wasn't much, but it was enough to make his heart skip. Her power was growing, and it was clear that her potential reached far beyond anything Sam had ever known. The sound of boots on the ground grew louder as the patrol reached the workshop. Sam knew he couldn't stall them forever. His eyes flicked over to Kyra, who was staring at him with an intensity that he hadn't seen before. There was a silent understanding between them. She knew what was happening, and she was ready to do whatever it took to protect them both. Outside, Commander Varek's voice boomed over the comms. "We're here for a fugitive," Varek announced. "The one known as Kyra. Hand her over, and we'll leave peacefully. Resist, and there will be consequences." Sam's gut twisted. He knew there was no peaceful way out of this. They didn't want her for any good reason. If Kyra was really who he suspected, then they weren't going to let her go without a fight. "Don't worry," Sam whispered to her. "I won't let them take you." As Sam prepared to confront Varek, Kyra stood beside him, her small hand reaching out to hold his. For a moment, they stood in silence, the weight of what was to come hanging heavy between them. Sam had spent his life trying to avoid trouble, but now, with Kyra, he realized that protecting her was the one thing he was truly willing to fight for.